Love language is the emotional language of your inner child. One of the most important lessons I've learned, both personally and professionally, is that our inner child doesn't speak the language of logic. It speaks the language of emotion. Because when we were young, we didn't understand the world through thought, we understood it through feeling. The child part of us developed beliefs not by analysing events, but by experiencing emotional responses to them. So, if a parent looked away when we cried or ignored us when we were needing comfort, we didn't say to ourselves, oh, they must be busy, or maybe they're emotionally unavailable. No, we felt wounded. And repetitive wounding then embodies a something wrong with me experience within. And that moment, those small, repeated emotional injuries or wounds become the foundation of our adult core beliefs. Beliefs like I'm not lovable, I don't matter, I have to perform to be accepted, or it's safer to hide than to risk rejection. These limiting beliefs then go on to shape how we think as adults, how we feel, and ultimately how we behave. So when we talk about healing the inner child, we have to remember we're not trying to reason with the child. We're not trying to explain things away. We're trying to meet them emotionally. We have to use a different kind of language, an emotive language that soothes, that comforts, that connects. We need to speak to the inner child in their language, and that's the language of love. If you grew up in a household where your emotional needs were met, where your feelings were mirrored, your presence was welcomed, and your needs were honoured, then you likely internalized positive beliefs. And those beliefs now guide you with a sense of safety and confidence. But if you grew up in a home where love was conditional, where affection was absent, or where you felt like a burden for even having emotions, then the beliefs you carry may still be shaped by shame, fear, or invisibility. So healing that part of you means we must now reparent ourselves with the kind of emotional language we didn't get growing up. And that means when we respond to life's challenges, and there are always challenges, your unique inner child surfaces emotionally through anxiety, sadness, loneliness, or self-doubt. We don't dismiss it or rationalize it away. We don't let the inner critic take the wheel and say, oh, get over it. You're being too sensitive. Instead, we pause and we listen. We bring in the inner nurturing parents and we say, I see you. It makes sense you feel this way. You're allowed to want love. You're not too much. I'm here now and I'm not going anywhere. These are not just affirmations, they are antidotes to wounding, because the original wound was emotional. The healing must be emotional too. And the inner child needs different things depending on what was missing. For those who experienced emotional neglect, as I did, what's needed now is connection. Words that say, you matter, I care about how you feel. For those like me who were criticised or shamed growing up, what's needed now is encouragement. A voice that says, you're doing your best. I'm proud of you. This is what we mean when we talk about self-mirroring. In the absence of early parental mirroring, we become the ones who say, I see you. And yes, you're enough. You are loved, just as you are. We start to build an actual inner dialogue, a back and forth between our inner child who still holds the pain and the nurturing adult who's now capable of offering the love and emotive language that was once missing. It's also where we begin to turn down the volume on the inner critic, that harsh, perfectionistic voice that keeps trying to get us to earn love, to avoid mistakes, or to disappear entirely. That voice came from somewhere too. It often mimics the tone of those early caregivers or parents, the ones who couldn't attune to your needs. And that voice doesn't get to run the show anymore. We push back on the inner critic, not with aggression, but with authority. And we give more airtime to the burgeoning, nurturing parent voice that's slowly emerging inside us. The one that says, I know you were scared. It's okay to rest now. You're safe, you're loved, and you're enough. This is the essence of reparenting. It's not about perfect healing. It's about showing up again and again for the parts of us that were left behind. Speaking in a voice that's warm, patient, and compassionate with emotive language. When we do this consistently, something begins to change. Our behaviors shift. Not because we're trying to force them, but because our inner world is changing. The more loving the belief, the more compassionate the behavior. And what once felt like shame or a feeling of brokenness starts to feel like wholeness. So if you've ever wondered why affirmations don't fully work or why logic doesn't soothe your fear, remember, your inner child isn't looking for answers, they're looking for love. And your words, when they come from your heart, when they're emotionally attuned, can begin to do what your caregivers and parents couldn't. They can begin to heal. And if you'd like help with this, if you'd like help understanding and going through the process of reparenting with a therapist, then get in touch. Visit my website and book a free discovery call. Let's find out what's possible together.